Intro stealing is undoubtedly a crime, yet at times it transcends into an art form. It's a finely tuned performance involving deception, timing, and audacity. In this video, we embark on a journey through 10 heists that sent shockwaves worldwide, not merely for the thefts, but for the execution. Presenting the top 10 most ingenious heists in history. True crimes that would make Ocean's 11 look like novices. Buckle up, because some tales conclude with millions gone, while others leave only dust in their wake. 10. The Great Train Robbery, UK 1963. On a peaceful August evening in rural England, a Royal Mail train sped through the countryside, its cargo unexpected, millions in cash. 15 men lay in wait. They utilized a fabricated railway signal to halt the train in the dead of night. Within 30 minutes, they secretly heisted bags of banknotes totaling $2.6 million, approximately $70 today. No serious injuries occurred. Leading the charge, Bruce Reynolds was a charismatic criminal who meticulously studied every detail for months. They selected a remote spot where communication lines were disabled, slowing police response. They vanished into the darkness. But their freedom was fleeting. Eventually, most were apprehended, although Reynolds evaded capture for 5 years, continually changing his identity. He was ultimately caught in a shabby hotel in London. The crew became infamous, and one member, Ronnie Biggs, escaped custody and fled to Brazil, living openly for decades, even selling souvenirs from the Great Train Robbery to tourists. He only returned to the UK in 2001 for health reasons, only to be re-imprisoned. 9. Banco Central Burglary, Brazil, 2005. This heist was executed literally beneath the streets. A band of men rented a house in Fortaleza, Brazil, claiming to start a landscaping business. But their true endeavor? Digging a tunnel, day and night, for 3 months, reinforced with wooden beams, complete with ventilation, stretching 78 meters long. It led directly beneath the Banco Central's vault. High-precision tools and even a homemade elevator aided their mission. During a long weekend, they broke in and made off with 3.5 tons of cash. Over 70 million. These bills could not be traced because they lacked serial numbers. No alarms sounded. No guards were present. Not a single camera caught sight of them. They left mud and silence in their wake. One of the largest bank thefts in history. The gang? Gone. Though some were later captured, the money was never recovered. The alleged leader, Antonio Jusivan Alves, was apprehended but refused to disclose the treasure's location. One thief, who held part of the loot, was later kidnapped and murdered, likely by rival criminals seeking the riches. The case blurred the lines between calculated planning and Brazil's chaotic underworld. 8. The Lufthansa Heist, USA, 1978. The tale began with a tip from a debt-ridden airport worker. Mobsters linked to the Lucchese crime family sensed an opportunity. A JFK airport warehouse routinely receiving millions in untraceable cash from Europe. In just 64 minutes, the crew made off with $5 million in cash and $875,000 in jewelry, the largest heist in U.S. history at that point. The aftermath was brutal. Almost everyone involved faced arrest or a mysterious death. The tipster, Louis Werner, was the sole one convicted. The mastermind, Jimmy Burke, was never formally charged, yet all around him vanished. The money? Forever lost. One of the robbers, Tommy DeSimone, mysteriously disappeared, likely a victim of the mob. Henry Hill, who later became an informant, revealed how paranoia shattered the team. The real story inspired the film Goodfellas, yet the bodies piled up were hauntingly real. 7. Hatton Garden Heist, UK 2015. Picture a crew of elderly men, in their 60s and 70s, planning one of London's boldest heists. That's exactly what unfolded over the Easter weekend of 2015. They drilled through concrete walls, circumvented alarms, and rappelled into a Hatton Garden jewelry vault. Inside lay over 70 safety deposit boxes containing $14 million in gold, diamonds, and cash. The vault alarm activated, but security ignored it, dismissing it as a technical error. Their critical mistake? They celebrated too openly. CCTV captured them drinking in a pub the following day. Some even saved fast food receipts from the heist weekend. They became notorious as the bad grandpas of crime. Yet make no mistake, They spent months planning, analyzing schematics, using coded language and disposable phones. Brian Reeder, the oldest at 76, earned the title the Master. He served time with his compatriots, most of whom had long criminal records. The only absconder? The elusive Basil, who opened the vault from within and then vanished, never identified. 6. Antwerp. Diamond Heist. Belgium, 2003. Antwerp's diamond center was thought to be impregnable. 10 layers of security, motion sensors, magnetic locks, thermal detectors, pressure sensors, and more. But Leonardo Notarbartolo wasn't deterred. He rented an office within the building and spent over 2 years surveilling, documenting, and duplicating keys. On Valentine's Day weekend, his crew bypassed every obstacle. They used hairspray to inhibit infrared detectors and black cloth to conceal sensors, employing homemade tools to breach the vault. They made off with over $100 million in diamonds, gold, and gems. Though Notarbartolo was eventually caught, he claimed it was part of an insurance scheme, stating, "We didn't steal. We simply rearranged." The stolen diamonds? Still missing. A half-eaten sandwich found in the getaway car led to Notarbartolo's arrest. However, the rest of the crew remained at large. Some whisper they melted the jewels and smuggled them across borders. Others suggest the entire heist was a cover for larger insurance fraud. 5. The Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum Heist, USA, 1990. At 1:24 a.m. on March 18, 1990, Boston police received a call, but it was too late. 2 men dressed as officers rang the museum's buzzer, claiming to respond to a disturbance. The guards, believing them, buzzed them in. A monumental mistake. The men restrained the guards, taped their eyes, and led them to a basement. Then, for 81 minutes, they roamed the galleries, choosing specific artworks: Vermeer, Rembrandt, Degas. 13 masterpieces vanished. Value: over $500 million. Not a single piece has ever been found. No ransom demand. No credible suspects. Only empty frames haunting the museum, reminders of what was once there. This remains the most valuable art theft in history, and the FBI continues its investigation. Throughout the years, rumors tied the theft to organized crime, including the Irish mob and the mafia. Some believe the artworks lie hidden in warehouses in Ireland or the Middle East. In 2021, the FBI claimed to have identified the thieves, yet both were deceased. Still, the empty frames linger, symbolizing a heist that stole not just art, but a slice of cultural history. Banco Rio Heist, Argentina, 2006. On January 13th, a band of masked men burst into a bank in Buenos Aires, brandishing fake guns and taking 23 hostages. Outside, snipers and negotiators surrounded the building. Hours crawled by, but within, the robbers remained composed. They urged hostages to sing, dance, and stay relaxed. Then, amidst the madness, they vanished. When police stormed the building, the gang had escaped through a tunnel into the sewer system. They left behind a note. In a rich neighborhood without weapons or grudges, it's merely money, not love. Over $20 million disappeared. The mastermind, Fernando Araujo, spent a year meticulously planning the operation. He later gave interviews, wrote a book, and argued it wasn't theft, it was performance art. He even staged mock reenactments post-prison. Though gang members were caught one by one, most received reduced sentences, sparking outrage in Argentina. One robber, dubbed the Brain, applied psychology and negotiation tactics to delay police. He now lectures on security flaws at universities. Securitas Depot Heist, UK, 2006. The scheme was ruthless. The gang kidnapped the bank manager's wife and child, binding them and holding them hostage. They coerced him into granting access to the Tunbridge Cash Depot, where over $300 million in cash was kept. Disguised as police, the crew locked up the staff and loaded $53 million into a truck. This was the largest cash robbery in British history. CCTV revealed men smiling as they stacked the cash. They spent months surveilling the depot, even concealing spy cameras inside soda cans. Several arrests ensued, yet over $30 million was never recovered. One suspect fled abroad, prompting an international manhunt. The ringleader, Lee Murray, a former MMA fighter, was arrested in Morocco, where he was living extravagantly. British authorities couldn't extradite him due to his Moroccan citizenship. He remains imprisoned there, a fallen star of the cage-fighting world turned criminal icon. His former coach would later comment, "Lee could have been a UFC champion. Instead, he chose the vault." Knightsbridge Security Deposit Robbery, UK 1987. Valerio Vice, a charming Italian playboy, strolled into the Knightsbridge Safe Deposit Center, clad in an Armani suit, sporting a smile. He expressed interest in renting a box. Moments later, he and an accomplice brandished handguns, bound the staff, and placed a closed sign on the door. Then they ushered in the rest of the crew. Over several hours, they pried open numerous deposit boxes, absconding with jewelry, cash, and rare artifacts, totaling nearly $100 million. Vice escaped to Latin America, reveling with models and purchasing Ferraris. However, his taste for luxury eventually drew him back to the UK, where authorities apprehended him. He was later shot dead during a police ambush while visiting during a prison release. His last words? "I was born to live fast and die free." His autobiography, released posthumously, reads like a thrilling crime novel and became a cult classic in European underground circles. Some of the jewels were recovered, but most remain missing. His ashes rested in the hills of Turin, near the origin of his criminal journey. The Lazarus Heist, North Korea, 2016. This was not merely a theft. It was a cyber attack like no other. Hackers linked to the North Korean regime, identified as the Lazarus Group, infiltrated the Bangladesh Central Bank via the SWIFT global financial network. From an exposed printer in Dhaka, they enacted a scheme to transfer $1 billion across worldwide accounts. One minor error, misspelling foundation as fundation, thwarted the complete heist. However, $81 million slipped away into casinos in the Philippines. This was no conventional heist, no masks, no weapons, just keyboards, code, and state-supported hackers. This marked the first instance of a nation employing cyber warfare purely for profit, demonstrating that in today's digital world, vast sums can vanish without a trace. Investigators claim the hackers used malware crafted in North Korea, routed through Chinese servers, escaping into the cryptocurrency underground. Some stolen funds were funneled through phony charities and laundered through local bank accounts. To this day, not a single Lazarus hacker has faced prosecution. Instead, they keep launching attacks on institutions globally, from Sony Pictures to cryptocurrency platforms, making this heist just one part of a larger ongoing cyber war. Outro, what do these heists reveal to us? That brilliance can serve creation or lead to deception. Some of these criminals never faced justice. Others became legends, while many faded into obscurity. Yet one truth remains, they didn't merely take money, they altered the game. Subscribe to Tales on Edge for further stories like this, where reality often outshines fiction. And tell us, which of these tales would you adapt into a movie?